Okay, what's up, y'all? It's your girl. It's me. I'm the Benjamin V. What you watching on TV? This is gonna be my review, recap, slash whatever. And I'm trying to make my videos shorter, but this is gonna be episode 3 of It. Welcome to Derry. So I got around to watching episode 3. Like I said, I'm trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter. My first 2 recaps were way too long, even for my liking. So I actually just rewatched it. This is actually Tuesday. I watched it Sunday when it came on, but I'm just now getting to doing the review with you here. And so, episode 3. Okay, now episode 3 starts out. One thing I really appreciate with episode 3 is that we get the origin story of Colonel Shaw and the secondhand store owner, Lady Rose. They show where he was a little boy and he and this native girl were friends. And they venture into the woods, and this is like where I think we get our first real encounter with Pennywise. It's interesting to see them set that up. I think that's kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly where that's gonna go, right? So the episode starts out with that, with them as children, and then they'll circle back later on in the episode where they meet up, because I guess with her being a native there in the area, I believe she's a part of some kind of board or something, some kind of committee in the town, a local town or whatever. And so she carry a little weight in her position for where she's at, so that's cool. The other significant thing, as the episode comes in, we get a little bit of, they revisit the daddy situation a little bit. They show him in jail. The police chief looks like he's trying to set him up. He went and grabbed a cigarette pack or some shit that's supposed to prove that he was there wandering around on the street because of an eyewitness who signed a sworn statement that she saw him there. And so as I observed that scene, I'm actually kind of wondering if the daddy is lying about being at home that night, because he said he was at home in his bed asleep. I remember in the other episode, the mother said, "Hey, I told them that you were at home in bed asleep." So something in me is saying that maybe he wasn't really at home. Now we know he didn't murder the children or the babies. That's not what I don't have no doubts about that. But I think daddy might be up to something else. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like that's going to be relevant later on too. So, because I think he is lying about being at home. I will say that. I could be wrong. We're going to all find out together. So anyway, there's that. The other part, let's see, what's the other part? The other part is, I'm really, really, really excited to see Lily and Ronnie try to kind of mend their friendship. I don't really think so much about it. This is not so much about mending the friendship for Ronnie as it is about she wants to exonerate her father. She wants to get her daddy off the death penalty, or she don't want him to have the potential of even getting there, right? Which we respect that, right? And I think, with Lily not being as forceful about telling the truth, it's not, I can't see Lily as a bad guy, because, you tell some things, how sometimes in some situations you be in and you don't even want to say nothing because people are not going to believe you. Hello, Me Too movement, all the people from anyway, that's a bad joke. But anyway, there are some situations that we encounter where we just be like, man, if I was to tell somebody that shit, they would think I'm lying. They wouldn't even believe me. And so with her little ordeal, I think her concerns are valid. You know what I'm saying? But her talk with the nurse, they showed a clip of her getting ready to leave Juniper Hill. And I guess one of the nurses there, she's pretty cool with. Basically, she advises her to figure it out. She's just like, hey, if you and the girl is good friends, as it seems like you are, then you're going to figure it out. You'll help her get her dad off, and you'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And so I like to see Lily kind of, she's attacking it head on, and I think it's dope of her. Take a lot of bravery for her to go to Ronnie and be like, hey, we got to make them see it. I don't know how we're going to make them see it. I can't tell them because they're not going to believe me. But if we can make them see what we see, then maybe they'll believe it. They'll know that I'm not crazy. I'm not losing my mind. They won't send me back. And then they'll know that your dad didn't do anything either. So it's cute to see them, join up their little forces or whatever. Can I just say, this little boy, Rich, I think, so Rich is the young man, I believe, that befriends Will. I think I called him Lou in one of my other videos. But the little boy, Major's son's name is Will. He and Will, I guess, have kind of forged a little bit of a friendship because they eating at the little diner and they talking and they seem like they're getting closer or whatever. The girls actually come up with a plan to take pictures of whatever the thing is. I think Lily got her hand on the camera. She like, hey, I got a camera. We take pictures. Ronnie is like, even if we take pictures, we can't develop them at the store. They're not gonna give them to us. If they're not gonna give us these pictures. So they approach Will, because he's so smart. I don't think that she thinks that he develops photos, but she does know that if he can be figured out, he can figure it out because he's smart. He seems to have a knack for like scientific stuff, right? So he agrees to help them try to figure out how to develop these pictures. But from there, they have to find a way to get in touch with the thing that is haunting Lily and Ronnie. And so enter Rich. So I'm so irritated with this child. First off, there's a reference to the Orisha, which I am a major fan of the Orisha. Those of you who know, you know. So I'll leave that there. However, I will say I'm a little offended by him just kind of throwing it out there, but I know he's just a kid, he a baby, and so he don't mean no harm. But the other thing about him that is really unsettling to me is his propensity to lie. And we all know somebody like this in our real life. And I can't stand people who lie about nothing. Now, I think Rich has this thing where he wants to be accepted. Kind of like, he reminds me of the Marge of their bunch, right? He wants to fit in. He wants to feel like he can contribute something of value. And so he tends to lie. But I did get excited when he said his grandpa was a babalao, and he started to kind of bring up that a little bit. But I was like, this little boy, when they got out they had to go to the cemetery to basically summon the spirit so that they could then take pictures of the spirit to prove that the thing is what the thing is. So they get out to the cemetery to summon the spirit to get their photos, right? This is one of the parts. Now, this scene left me feeling a little bit like I did at the end of episode 1, right? Because I guess when I see this, basically when they get out to the cemetery, he put out some candles and he was basically trying to tell Santa Maria to come here or to reveal herself or something. Just some words, he just said it, and it sounded good because it was in Spanish, and how the hell they gonna know what it means, right? But those who speak Spanish is like, okay, you ain't really saying shit. The scene, basically, when they do the conjuring, the little ritual that he comes up with, initially nothing happens. Finally, the kids realize that he's lying. Now, I will say Will, since he's the one that's more of the practical kid, he's the scientific, he likes to see how things are proven to be so and all that. He already is kind of stepping into this like a little apprehensive anyway. But then I think the other girls, the two girls, Lily and Ronnie, start to realize that Ronnie is lying and he's full of shit. And so he is a little full of shit, right? But as they all give up and they get pissed off and they're like, oh, this is bullshit, they get ready to leave. And as they're leaving, of course, this is where the spirits are stirred up. Now, I actually had to rewatch this scene because I didn't realize at the time, when I watched it Sunday night, I was sleepy, had been up all day. And I didn't really realize that the ghosts that were revealing themselves were, so one of them was the grandpa, which was Rich's grandpa. And then the other spirits, I believe, were Susie, who was Phil's little sister. And I think I saw Teddy. They look a little different with their faces scratched and mauled off. So I'm not real certain that I'm accurate completely about that. But I think the ghosts were the ghosts of the kids in the cemetery. That scene to me was a little campy. And I thought to myself, I was like, when I seen that, it makes me wonder, what is the intended audience for this show? It's a little too gory, I think, for them to, I don't even, they usually give you the ratings on the shows if it's rated R or whatever. That I haven't paid a lot of attention to. Maybe I'll pay more attention to that next time I watch it, because I'm just not sure. But when I saw that scene, it's like, okay, is this shit for kids? Because that felt like felt like a scene from like a Goosebump episode or something. It was really kind of corny and this and that. They had a couple of like really obvious jump scares, and I just was like, this, come on, y'all. Like, what are we, 12? Like, what y'all doing? So I was not a fan of that scene. It didn't look incredibly terrible or anything. I don't know. It just looked stupid to me. I hate to say that because that's like really brash, and I don't mean to be that way, but it looked stupid to me, and I just was like, yeah, I ain't feeling that. And so actually that happened a little bit later. That happened towards the end of the episode. One part that I did skip over that I'm thrilled about is the major and lieutenant. Their names are so similar to me. I think, is it Hanalin or Halloran or whatever. So the lieutenant, which is the black dude who's the right hand man to Colonel Shaw with the special gifts and the powers and the all seeing eye or whatever. He and Major Hanalin, I don't know, Lieutenant and Major end up having to hook up. They match them up to go out. There's a slingshot exchange between Francis, which is Colonel Shaw, and Rose, the little native girl, when they were kids. And so this slingshot, I guess, is a beacon of some kind of energy that he uses to guide him toward the thing that they're looking for. And we're talking about Lieutenant here, right? So Lieutenant, Major, and then Major's right-hand man. Oh, his last name is Russo, because I know in episode 2, when I was reviewing, I didn't know his last name. But anyway, so Russo and Major are piloting, I guess, the helicopter, and they end up going out. Basically, they were using the Lieutenant's sixth senses or whatever to go out and look for the site. So he's being guided by this slingshot. So he, up in the air, he has like an interesting encounter with, I guess, Pennywise or the thing, where he almost killed himself. He undid the hatch of the plane or the helicopter and almost stepped out, but Major saved him. And so a really cool scene that I liked with them was he actually went over to Major's home for dinner. So he had dinner with the Major and his wife. At this point, Major is a little standoffish. You can tell he's not really feeling the dude too much. I don't really think he's so much standoffish to where he doesn't want to be bothered with him, but I think he's really perplexed. And then now we do know, he also revealed after they had dinner that he knows, he could sense and he could feel that he was one of the 3 dudes in the room that attacked him, when he was on base that night. So there was an interesting exchange between them, because what I'm feeling now initially, when Lieutenant met Major, it felt like he was like a hater. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, who is this new dude coming up in here? Like, he wasn't really with the shit, is the vibe he gave off, which could still be true. However, after they had dinner and they kind of talk a little bit more, I feel like they are going to end up on some kind of united front, which is thrilling for me. I'm excited to see this. One thing that excites me about it is because, number one, Lieutenant has this... he's some type of clairvoyant, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into the technical terms. I like to act real ignorant about stuff like that so that I don't come off as like a know-it-all. So anyway, he's got the gift, and Major, being from the South and where he's from, he and his wife, they have probably grown up in areas where they were around a lot of spiritual people. And so this is not something that's entirely new to them. Maybe they don't have like the verbiage, the technical verbiage behind it, or know how to explain it very well, but they are spiritual people. And so they pick up on that with other folks. And I think that he's picking that up with Lieutenant. Lieutenant has definitely picked it up on him. As a matter of fact, as I think about it now, when I look back in that first episode, he probably wasn't hating on him. He could probably smell something on him. He did mention when they were talking after dinner that he could sense that this dude, Major, doesn't have any fear, which I think is very dope. If that's the case, he very well could be one of the only people that can defeat this thing, because he ain't gonna be scared of it, and the way it's gonna attack you is through your fear. So I'm interested to see how that's gonna come up later on in the show. So overall, I don't know if I should have like a scale that I'm grading these on or something. I don't know. But episode 3 was good in the informational sense. I was not happy about that scene in the cemetery. It was way too goofy to me. Or so, like I said, it reminded me of like a R.L. Stein Goosebump episode or some shit. And I was like, okay, guys. But it is what it is. And so, like I said, so far I like the show. So we hanging on, we chomping at the bit, we waiting on episode 4. Tell me your takeaways in the comments. If you watched it, if you are watching it, if you're thinking about watching it, if you want to, if you think it's dumb as hell, let's talk about it. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I'm out, y'all. I'm gonna see you next week for episode 4. It's your girl, the Benji B. What you watching? I'm gonna see you later. Bye.